This video is brought to you by The Deck of Many and Humblewood.net. Welcome back to the Gallant Goblin. Today we're looking at the Pathfinder Battles Legendary Adventures Preview Pack. Now this interesting packaging may make some people wonder if it's a randomized set. It is not. Every box has the same 8 figures. Take note of the art on it though. Pathfinder 2nd edition came out August 1st, 2019, including the core rulebook and the bestiary, and this box came out a week later on August 8th. This posed a unique challenge for Paizo and WizKids. According to Paizo's blog, they had to send very early concept art to WizKids for them to make their sculpts. It is possible, though we don't know for sure, that these sketches may well be what WizKids used to make the minis in this box. Now, before we get to the close-ups, I did want to note that all 8 of the figures in this box will be in the upcoming Pathfinder Battles Legendary Adventures booster set, which are those randomized boxes with 4 minis in each that we do a lot of videos on this channel. That will be coming out in October 2019, hence why this is called a preview pack. Now, all 8 of the figures will be common rarity in that set, but there's a twist. The Paizo blog stated that the minis in this box are a different color scheme than the ones that will be in the booster set. So they're painted with different colors, even though they're the same sculpt. And so that way, even if you did end up buying both products, what this does is it gives you a little bit more visual variety when you put them down on your battle maps. Here are our goblins. One thing to note for collectors, the numbering on the base, which is what we use in our captions, appears to be specific to this pack, going from 1 to 8. I doubt they will match the booster numbering. While goblins were a playable race in 1st edition Pathfinder, they were added in a supplement, whereas 2nd edition has them as one of the 6 playable ancestries. They have done away with the term race in the core rulebook, alongside dwarves, elves, gnomes, halflings, and humans, though you can also still find half-elf and half-orc under humans. Don't worry, or maybe really worry, the core traits of Pathfinder goblins haven't changed. They are still the mischievous, murderous, aggressive pyromaniacs you both love and hate. Playable ones are cited as a minority in the bestiary who have chosen to become more civilized. Dog Slicer, by the way, is not a title, but the type of sword wielded by goblins. The holes in the weapon are to make it lighter. There are also 2 orcs in this pack. The Orc Battler, standing upright with a sword, appears to be female. The 2nd edition bestiary describes orc bands as brothers and sisters in more than arms, which suggests Pathfinder has done away with any inequality between genders among orcs. Orcs otherwise remain incredibly brutal and chaotic in 2e, dangerous but incapable of the long-term strategizing that would make them an existential threat to most civilizations. Here's some art from the bestiary for orcs. To my eye, they look a bit more bestial than the humanoid versions in 1e, but there's significant variations in their appearance in 2e, so I think orcs from the 2 editions will mix and match just fine. You may notice the art we're showing doesn't correspond exactly to the miniature sculpts. Again, this is because WizKids used a lot of early concept art, some of which were sketches, others of which simply may not have made it into the books released so far, but may show up down the line. All the art for this set was provided by Wayne Reynolds, who has done work on many comics and is also incredibly prolific in the tabletop RPG community. There's probably at least one piece of Reynolds art you really like in Pathfinder, Dungeons & Dragons, or Magic the Gathering. While the looks of goblins have not changed dramatically from 1st to 2nd edition, bugbears did get a makeover. Goblins, bugbears, and hobgoblins are all semi-related to each other, falling under the category of goblinoids. It looks like Paizo has chosen to unify their appearances, making their faces more horizontally elongated and their mouths wider, so that they more closely resemble the Pathfinder goblin's iconic appearance. So naturally, here is the 2nd edition Hobgoblin. Looks very different from 1e. Lore-wise though, hobgoblins and bugbears have not really changed. Hobgoblins retain their militaristic, hierarchical societies. Bugbears are sadistic lurkers who favor hiding and ambushing over direct confrontation. From a combat perspective, you're unlikely to encounter spellcaster hobgoblins, except maybe some healers using divine magic. Hobgoblins distrust the arcane and turn to alchemy instead to accomplish similar ends. For those who want to elaborate on that more, Alchemist is a core class now, one that will probably be popular with Goblin players, and there's a lot of cool features to pull from there that can apply to monsters as well. From my limited knowledge of Pathfinder, elves do not seem to have changed significantly in 2e. This well-equipped miniature can be used as an NPC soldier or as the avatar for a player character. Soldier is not a term that is used for the playable classes in the core rulebook, but this mini would work well for both the champion and fighter classes. Finally, we have our Halfling Slinger. It's worth noting that while playable ancestries can show up as monsters in the bestiary, there are no elf or halfling stat blocks in the first bestiary released for 2e, but there are several goblin ones. Halflings have access to multiple feats that give them bonuses to using a sling, making this a weapon that is associated closely with their ancestry. A sling is considered a simple ranged weapon, and there is also a sling staff that is a martial ranged weapon. Both use sling bullets as ammunition, which can be purchased 10 for 1 copper. Slings show up in the class starting equipment kits for alchemists, bards, and sorcerers. The manufacturer's suggested retail price for the preview pack was $29.99, and so that is a bit more for 8 figures than if you were buying the booster packs. I do assume that they put a little bit more effort into the paint jobs. There's certainly no obvious visual flaws there. But again, that's just something else to be aware of. We'd like to thank our sponsors, The Deck of Many, and you can check them out at humblewood.net. They have an upcoming RPG campaign setting called Humblewood for D&D 5th edition coming out. The physical product is going to be coming out in November of 2019, but if you go to humblewood.net, the PDF of their entire campaign setting, it's over 200 pages, is already available for purchase. I was excited to see that they're also making standees available that you can print and make to put on the battlefield in lieu of minis. That takes advantage of their gorgeous concept art. They're also going to be releasing reference cards so that you have, very much in the vein of the Deck of Many, something to use for all the new stat blocks and creatures that are in the campaign setting. Thank you again for watching. If you have any feedback on the Legendary Adventures preview pack, we're curious to hear from you in the comment section below. Is a preview pack something you're interested in seeing again in the future? Having these minis available early that will also be in the booster sets. What about the different color scheme that they're putting on these to make them a distinct product? Is it valuable to you to just have fixed packs of common monsters and a few player character and NPC option minis that you can use in any adventure path or even in other settings like Dungeons and Dragons? If you enjoyed this video, please click that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified if we make new videos. All of that helps the channel reach more people. So thank you again. We'll see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.